Right now, you're doing something no other animal on Earth can fully do. You're taking a thought from inside your head and placing it almost perfectly inside someone else's. No wires, no shared nervous system. Just sound, shaped into meaning. It feels ordinary. It isn't. So how did this even start? You'd think something this powerful would be well understood. It isn't. Language leaves no fossils. It doesn't show up in the dirt, the way bones and tools do, which means everything you're about to hear is pieced together from clues, comparisons, and careful detective work, not a single smoking gun. Let's start with what your closest living relatives can't do. Chimpanzees, your nearest primate cousins, communicate constantly. Calls for danger, calls for food, gestures, expressions, even simple problem solving through observation. But no matter how much researchers have tried to teach them, chimpanzees never spontaneously build sentences. They never ask questions. They never talk about yesterday, or tomorrow, or something that isn't physically in front of them. That gap matters enormously. It tells you that whatever language is, it isn't just communication, but more of it. It's something categorically different. So what changed? Primatologist and linguist researchers point to a few converging pressures, and one of the most compelling is social complexity. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has proposed something called the social brain hypothesis. As early human groups grew larger, tracking relationships became harder. Who's trustworthy? Who owes who a favor? Who's allied with who? Grooming. The way chimpanzees maintain social bonds one-on-one works fine for small groups. But once group size grows past a certain point, you simply can't groom everyone individually anymore. Dunbar's theory suggests language may have evolved as a kind of vocal grooming, a way to maintain many relationships at once instead of one at a time. You can talk to a group. You can gossip about someone who isn't even there. You can reinforce alliances with words instead of physical touch. Suddenly, a much larger group could stay socially connected. And larger groups meant safety in numbers, shared knowledge, and more hands for difficult tasks. There's another piece of this puzzle, and it's a physical one. Somewhere in your evolutionary past, your throat changed shape. The human larynx sits lower than in other primates, creating a longer vocal tract capable of producing the huge range of distinct sounds your language depends on. This anatomical shift likely happened gradually, and it came with a real cost. A lower larynx increases the risk of choking while eating. Evolution rarely accepts a trade-off like that unless the benefit is enormous. This tells you something important. Whatever language was doing for your ancestors, it was valuable enough to be worth risking your life every single time you swallowed. Then there's the brain itself. Two regions in particular, Broca's area and Wernicke's area, are deeply involved in producing and understanding language. Damage to these regions, even today, can strip away a person's ability to speak or comprehend speech while leaving nearly everything else intact. This tells researchers that language isn't just intelligence wearing a costume. It's something with its own dedicated machinery that had to be built piece by piece over an enormous stretch of time. Some researchers, including linguist Noam Chomsky, have argued that humans may possess something like an innate capacity for grammar itself, a kind of built-in scaffolding that lets children absorb incredibly complex language, rules by age 4 or 5, without ever being formally taught. Chomsky's ideas remain debated, but the underlying observation is hard to dismiss. Every human child, everywhere, in every culture, picks up language at a strikingly similar pace, almost as if the blueprint were already there, just waiting for input. Now, think about what language actually unlocked once it existed. Before language, teaching was limited to demonstration. Watch me do this. Copy me. That works for simple tasks, but it breaks down fast for anything complex. With language, an ancestor could describe a hunting strategy without acting it out, warn about a danger they encountered days ago, miles away, pass down not just what to do, but why it worked and what went wrong last time someone tried it differently. This changed the entire speed of human learning. Knowledge no longer had to be personally rediscovered by every single generation. It could be spoken, remembered, and handed forward. Anthropologists sometimes call this the beginning of cumulative culture, the ability to build on the ideas of people who came before you, layer by layer, instead of starting from zero every time. There's a darker, more practical angle here too. Coordination. A group that can plan silently through gestures alone is limited. A group that can whisper a complex plan, assign roles, warn of a threat approaching from a specific direction, or organize a large hunt across difficult terrain has an enormous advantage over a group that can't. Language may have been every bit as much a survival tool and a weapon as it was a bonding mechanism. There's also the question of when all of this actually happened. Estimates vary wildly, from a few 100,000 years ago to potentially far earlier. And the honest answer is that nobody knows for certain. Some researchers point to a genetic mutation in a gene called FOXP2, which appears critical for the fine motor control needed for speech, as one small but important clue. Families with mutations in this exact gene today have significant, specific difficulty producing clear speech, even though their general intelligence remains completely normal. It's not proof of a single language gene, but it's a rare, tangible thread connecting biology directly to the ability to speak. What's remarkable is how quietly all of this had to happen. There was no single ancestor who suddenly stood up one day and invented the first sentence. It was almost certainly a slow, layered accumulation. Simple calls growing more varied. Gestures growing more specific. Vocal control gradually improving generation after generation. Social pressure quietly rewarding those who could communicate more precisely than their rivals. And once it existed, even in a crude, early form, it would have spread like nothing else humanity had ever had before. Because the first ancestor who could truly say, there is danger past that ridge, and here is exactly what to do about it, wasn't just talking. They were rewriting what was possible for an entire species. Right now, you're doing something no other animal on Earth can fully do. And now, for the first time, you understand that this ordinary conversation you're having, this quiet miracle of turning thought into sound, was never guaranteed. It was built slowly, dangerously, and deliberately by ancestors who needed each other to survive and found no better tool for it than their own voice.